Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Okay.
Reckless speculation.
It is reckless speculation season here. We are just days away from... Actually, Monday is technically the start of like when teams and agents gather in Indianapolis for the Combine, and then the drills start closer to next weekend. But you got Kwesi and KOC talking on Tuesday to the media. So we are full runway into free agency season and then draft season. This is how rosters are built, how champions are made in the off-season months.
How jobs are lost.
What's that?
How jobs are lost.
Yeah.
If you make the wrong move.
Yeah, if you want to look doom and gloom like Sports Dad.
Thank you.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put ourselves in the Vikings whiteboard room, the Vikings conference room, whatever it may be at TCO Performance Center. And all three of us are going to stump for a free agent. Who is the one free agent that we think, hey, this is my guy. We can go sign for other, but this is my guy. This is who I want the Vikings to sign. And we can discuss that here. Presented in part by Park Dental. So maybe if you're a new Vikings player here in a few weeks, they sign you in free agency, and now you need a new dentist in the Twin Cities. Well, Park Dental has over 50 years of experience and credibility caring for and cleaning teeth in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. So, maybe you're like a 315-pound guard. I don't know if you're going to fit in those dentist chairs, but they could probably find a way. So schedule your checkup at parkdental.com. There's likely, either wherever you work or live in the Twin Cities or Western Wisconsin, likely a Park Dental within just minutes from wherever you are. So check them out. I actually have my next checkup next week. So looking forward to it. parkdental.com. All right, boys. Judd, let's start with you.
Okay.
We're sitting here. We're just a bunch of scouts in a room with Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. Who are you stumping for? Which free agent?
You know what? I'm going to largely solve my interior offensive line issue. I'm going to stump for, assuming he is not franchised, by the Kansas City Chiefs, Trey Smith.
Wow, okay.
Now he's going to break the bank to a certain degree, but he's also going to solve some real problems. He's 25, so he's young. He's good. And yes, we could talk about the Super Bowl. Oh, what happened in the Super Bowl? Sports Dad, what are you talking about, Trey Smith? But Trey Smith is young enough. He has shown, for the most part, he's very, very good. And look, the guard positions, I mean, we've talked about this. They've been a problem with this team forever. And the reality is you now have the money, the ability, and by the way, probably a first-year starting quarterback to protect to make this the perfect time to not try and skimp. Not try and be like, maybe we go to this guy. Maybe we go with that guy. There are other guards that I like. Trey Smith, though, is among not just the top guards. He is among the top free agents available, according to PFF at least. So I'm going to stump for once and for all, if my offensive line has Brian O'Neill at right tackle, Christian Darrisaw at left tackle, Trey Smith at guard, you know what? We're a hell of a lot better than we were before Trey Smith signed. So that's who I'm going to stump for.
He is likely to set the new market for guards. So you'd have to pay like $21 million a year, and you would have the highest paid. You'd have the highest paid right guard, one of the highest paid left tackles, and then Brian O'Neill is pretty high up there on the right tackle list. So you'd have a lot of money going into three of those five offensive line positions.
But we've seen what happens interior, especially when you don't. Like, to me, this would solve an issue that just continues to be pretty much, if I'm correct on this one, pretty much post Steve Hutchinson. That has continued to be an issue. And among the most important things, in my opinion, are, one, the run game has to improve. And the run game is not going. You're not going to find a running back who's just going to solve this. Like it's not. Well, the interior of the offensive line's not good, but I'm so good that I can solve this myself. So one, that improves that, but also probably equally as important, first year starting quarterback. Right. I want to give JJ McCarthy every chance possible to have really good protection. So Trey Smith.
By the way, in the run game, according to Pro Football Focus, Trey Smith out of 79 qualified guards, had the 10th highest run blocking grade. He's actually, last year he was regarded more highly as a run blocker even than a pass protector. The one thing on him that is a little bit of a red flag, no pun intended, or yellow flag, he did take 11 penalties, which was tied for the fourth most with Blake Brandel, by the way, tied for fourth most among all qualified guards. Now, another free agent guard, Patrick McCarry, had 14 penalties. So the grabby, the holdy stuff, like I don't know. I don't know how many of these are false starts. We have to do a deep dive. Might be a little bit of an issue, but yeah, I mean, Trey Smith is going to get paid the most out of any of the guards.
Yep. And now you've got 3/5 of that line that is just really rock solid.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Dex, you're next in the war room here.
Okay, so I'm going to stump for someone I wouldn't say is like on the top of free agent lists necessarily. He's a guy we've talked about and we have signed in our Blueprint episodes, and it's a position that I'm just scared of paying big time money at. So I'm going to stump for Asante Samuel Jr. I would much rather have the Vikings go after a cornerback who is still youngish and is not going to make the money I think Byron Murphy is going to make on the open market. And I have a big fear with overpaying for cornerbacks. Now, I don't necessarily know what this contract projection looks like. I know we've done the Blueprint a few times on him, bringing him in. But I feel safer with Asante Samuel coming in here. And this is assumption, too, that like Flores loves him and he can take him and mold him into a very good corner. You know, he kind of dipped down in production last year after Staley left with the Chargers. But I am going to stump for Asante Samuel Jr. I think that's a perfect style of cornerback they can go get. Go get Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah, he missed most of the year with the injury. It was like shoulder, right? He had some sort of injury that wiped him out for the year
early in the season. Yep.
And it kind of, I mean, that's ultimately that's going to take away from how much you might get him on a discount.
That's what
because he was hurt, right?
Yeah. How much does that ultimately suppress his price? Because if he doesn't get hurt, his price is very high.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell, but Byron Murphy Jr. played like 1,000+ snaps and can play slide. He's a little bit, well, they're about the same age. They're both about 25. Actually, I think Asante Samuel was maybe a year younger even than Byron Murphy Jr., which would help his case. The last time Asante Samuel was healthy for a full year was 2 years ago in 2023. And he was one of, there was, let's see here, 132 qualified cornerbacks in the National Football League. And he was 25th out of 100, whatever, in coverage grade. So, and he's been that way the last couple of years. So he's been highly regarded. Obviously, we don't get to watch him on a day-to-day basis. But, God, if you could get a little cheaper there and maybe even a little younger, save a little money too. I guess that's the same thing as cheaper. But, like, that might be an interesting angle if you're the Vikings.
Yeah. That's my question is, so Asante Samuel Jr.'s camp is going to point to 2023, right? And say, that's him. He got hurt. Unfortunate. And I guess my question, because of the age and what he's done, is if you can get him well below what Byron or what a guy like Byron would get, or does it end up being he actually gets about the same or close at least to what Byron Murphy Jr. gets?
So I feel like it's my turn now in the whiteboard room here, the war room.
I feel like I know where you're going.
I don't know if you do. I feel like I should be like you picked a offensive lineman and Dex picked a cornerback, and now
a quarterback.
I'm gonna pick Russell Wilson to come in here. You think I should pick a defensive tackle, right? Interior pass rush guy, right?
I don't have any. I thought you would.
I'm gonna give you a roundabout thing here.
Okay.
I'm gonna stump for Mekhi Becton, right guard, 360-pound behemoth. He is one of the two largest human beings in the NFL. I think it's him and the former Gopher Daniel Fa'alele are like the two like biggest human beings. Yeah, and they're both they both move from tackle to guard. And it's kind of funny watching them line up at their position. And when you watch Becton, he's the one that like looks back, gets the knee up signal from the quarterback, slaps the center's leg as like the trigger point with this massive meat hook of a hand. But he was a road grader for what wound up being one of the great running attacks in the history of the NFL. Saquon Barkley gets all the love and all the praise, and that's great. But he had like, was it like 1,500 yards before contact or something? Like the offensive line was crazy when it came to run blocking for the Eagles. So I'm gonna point to him as a guy that's gonna wind up, projection anyways, making about half as much per year as Trey Smith. And I think there's still some upside there because this was his first year playing guard. The Eagles took a flyer on him, said, all right, you're a failed tackle. Let's pay you $2 million. Hear us out on this. We want to move you to right guard, salvage your career. And so he doesn't have a 4-year track record of playing that position. So he's not going to make $20 million a year. PFF projects him at like $9 or $10 million. So could I get a road grading right guard who still has a little work in progress refining things? He can get a little leaky in pass protection, but this was like a first-round crazy athlete talent that's now playing guard. He keeps getting better, and I get the extra $10 or $11 million per year that I would have spent on Trey Smith to then pour into maybe a defensive pass rusher, a cornerback, extra depth, etc. So Mekhi Becton.
I like it, and it certainly would. I don't know if it's going. I don't know if he's going to come at the price that the projection is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more, but it certainly wouldn't be Trey Smith territory, and so that would free you up or make it easier to go get a top DT perhaps. So I could be sold on that one, and he would definitely again strengthen the interior line, which is the most important thing. Like we can't talk enough about the importance there, right? Because, like, to go back to what I said before in regard to Trey Smith, you're not going to go find, like, you're not going to solve your running problem with just the back. You're going to solve it through the offensive line as well. And Becton is a mammoth.
Also, think about, like, what was, and Trey Smith probably helps with this too, but what was one of the most frustrating things about the Vikings offense? That close range, especially in the deep red zone, they couldn't move the ball forward. All right, we got the ball at the 1.5 yard line, we just need to punch this thing in. And they were calling pass plays because they didn't trust their offensive line to get a push.
Yes.
Well, and the Eagles have 5 awesome offensive linemen. So it's clearly not, and Becton's not even one of their probably 2 best offensive linemen. So it's not just him. But Becton was part of a great close range, automatic touchdown, automatic first down running game because he can move the defenders out of the way. Can you imagine having him line up and maybe it's J.J. McCarthy quarterback sneak, just literally just follow him into the end zone?
Just blast a guy?
100%.
Yeah.
I think he could help with that close range. And then you'd still have enough money, too, if you wanted to maybe go sign a left guard. You could probably afford him and maybe Patrick McCarry, the left guard for the Ravens. Now you're stealing, think about those 2 running attacks. You're stealing left guard Ravens, right guard Eagles, and your running game gets a lot better. And McCarry could come in here too and just be, he's a Swiss Army knife. He's played hundreds of snaps at all 5 offensive line positions. So I would be, not that I'm fine with spending $20 million on one of the top free agents, but if I can get a Becton or a McCarry or both for half that price, or even like 60% of that price, could I just get more bang for my buck if I'm running the Vikings?
Makes sense.
I like it.
Okay.
We've solved the problems.
I think we just did.
We just solved every problem.
Welcome, Quasey.
And the nice thing is there's actually cap room to spend. That's like these at least for the first time in how long are realistic conversations for this team.
Because for years and years it was, okay, how can you restructure and kick the can down the road on this quarterback
and on
or this
Kirk's
guy?
Contract you couldn't because it was short term basically. So
Yep. So, let us know in the YouTube comment section, who would you stump for? Who's the one? Now, they can afford more than one free agent, but who is the one guy that you would circle and say, all right, let's start here, and then the rest of the puzzle sort of, the pieces fall into place. Hit us up, hit that like button, the subscribe button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, and over on the audio side for Apple and Spotify, you can help us keep growing this thing by giving us a 5-star rating and a positive review. He's the sports dad, Judd. He's Dex. I'm Phil, and this is Purple Daily, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.